Hello, in this section I'll talk about anesthetic management of a child with asthma or recurrent wheezing. So what is asthma? Asthma is a chronic lung disease which is characterized by your recurrent wheezing, cough, dyspnea, partially reversible or absolutely reversible bronchoconstriction and hyper-responsiveness of the airway. And there's an increased likelihood that this is a common childhood problem, and there's an increased likelihood that you will get a patient with asthma or recurrent wheezing coming for surgery. So what are the important things that we need to know for a proper and a safe management of these children? We'll discuss in this section. So as I said, asthma is a chronic inflammatory lung disease. Asthma is chronic inflammatory lung disease, and it is characterized by cough, wheeze, dyspnea, chest tightness, partially or absolutely reversible bronchoconstriction, partially or absolutely reversible bronchoconstriction, increased airway responsiveness, increased bronchial responsiveness. So these are characteristic of asthma. So let us see some of the questions. A 6-year-old child with a history of asthma arrives for an elective inguinal hernia repair. Upon examination, the child is found to be wheezing. So there is an active wheeze throughout the lung fields. What is the most appropriate next step? So it's an elective surgery, and child is having the symptoms, currently having the symptoms of asthma. So child has an active asthma presenting for an elective surgery. What will be our approach? We'll discuss it. Then another question, a 6-year-old boy with a history of moderate persistent asthma presents for elective inguinal hernia repair. He uses fluticasone inhaler daily, that's a hydrocort, salbutamol as needed. On examination, he is currently asymptomatic. So he is asymptomatic with clear breath sounds, but his mother mentioned that he had a cold with a dry cough that resolved 10 days back. So he had a URTI, history of URTI 10 days back. Which of the following preoperative factors are most significantly increases the child's risk of perioperative respiratory adverse effect? So in a child with asthma or otherwise also, what are the risk factors for perioperative respiratory adverse effects? So we'll talk about it. Then during induction of anesthesia, which strategy is most likely to reduce the risk of triggering bronchospasm? So we'll talk about that. If a child has a history of asthma or has a history of hyperreactive airway, what form of induction would be most helpful to prevent any triggering of bronchospasm? Intraoperatively, the ventilator displays shark fin appearance on capnography waveform. Peak inspiratory pressure rises from 18 to 35, and you hear bilateral expiratory wheezing. As after increasing the concentration of sevoflurane, what is the most appropriate next step? So how would you manage intra-op bronchospasm as characterized in this question, which is a common complication of asthma and can present during any time, during induction, in intra-op period, during maintenance of anesthesia, and also when you are reversing the patient, right? So the risk of intra-op bronchospasm in these patients are high. Not only bronchospasm, laryngospasm, the risk of laryngospasm is also high in these patients, and both are important contributors of perioperative respiratory adverse events. So what are the things that we will discuss in this topic? In this topic, we'll talk about how do we do the preoperative evaluation of these patients. So we'll talk about preoperative evaluation. In preoperative evaluation, how to take the relevant history, what are the important questions that we need to ask, then what are the important investigations, then the the perioperative drug management. Perioperative, these patients may be on multiple drug for the control of asthma. So perioperative drug management, and also we'll talk about some important pre-medication that we do to prevent the hyperreactiveness of bronchus. So all these things we'll talk in preoperative evaluation. Then we'll talk about the choice of anesthesia. So is there some particular special choice of anesthesia, or any kind of anesthesia would be safe in these patients? And if I have to give GA to these patients, what are the important considerations that we have to follow? So strategy for general anesthesia. These patients, we have to manage the ventilation during GA in a very let's say in a very proper manner, because they are the patients in whom air trapping can happen. So adequate time of expiration we have to give. So we'll talk about the ventilation parameters that we have to fix. Then we have to talk about the intraop complication. Most common complication I said is intraop bronchospasm. So we'll talk about intraoperative complication, and of course in this we'll talk about is the intraop bronchospasm, how to recognize intraop bronchospasm, how to manage intraop bronchospasm. And then we'll talk about emergence and extubation. That's very important. These are the patients in whom this bronchospasm gets precipitated when the anesthetic plane becomes light and with the airway in there in situ. So how do we manage emergence and extubation to prevent this life-threatening bronchospasm to get precipitated? So emergence and extubation. And of course, we'll talk about the post-op management. Post-op management, what are the important things that we need to take care of? So let's start our discussion with the preoperative evaluation. So what are the important features of preoperative evaluation? So what are the important things that we have to do? First, if this child with the asthma comes for a particular elective surgery, what is the most appropriate time for pre-op evaluation? Now, there should be adequate time for us to control if patient is having some active symptom, or also to do things which would reduce the respiratory adverse effect. So most optimum time for pre-operative evaluation in these patients would be 1 to 2 weeks prior to elective surgery, right? So ideal time for pre-op evaluation is 1 to 2 weeks before elective surgery. Now, what is the goal of pre-op evaluation? Goal is to reduce the risk of PRI, that is perioperative respiratory adverse effect. So goal of the pre-op pre-anesthetic checkup is to reduce risk of perioperative respiratory adverse events, right? Now, in history, the most important thing in pre-anesthetic evaluation is history. So in history, first thing that we need to ask, apart from the regular history that we take, I mean the extra things that we have to ask apart from the regular history that we take, is some questions pertinent to asthma control. So what are those questions which will give, whose answer would tell me whether the asthma is well controlled or moderately controlled or uncontrolled? So history questions need to be answered, which will tell us about the control of asthma. So what are those important questions? Now, severity of asthma as assessed by the patient or by the caregiver. So we can ask them how frequently they have the asthmatic attack and how do they themselves describe their symptoms. Then triggering factors. What are the important triggering factors? Then personal or family history of allergies and atopy. Passive or active cigarette smoke inhalation. Frequency and type of asthma medication used for maintenance and rescue. Dose, frequency and most recent use of oral glucocorticoids. History of hospitalization, intubation and emergency department visits. Recent URTI, sinus infection, nocturnal cough or fever. Baseline and current peak expiratory flow or FEV1 if applicable. So if I'm not getting the let's say idea about the control of asthma, we can get a baseline and current expiratory flow, or if patient had some recent investigation, we'll go through those recent investigation. And after all this, we will put the patient in 3 categories, that whether the asthma is well maintained asthma, or not so well maintained, or poorly controlled, or very poorly controlled. So if it is well maintained, we can go ahead with the surgery. But if it is not well maintained or very poorly controlled, we'll not take this patient for elective surgery. We'll first refer the patient to the primary caregiver, physician, for a better control of the symptoms and better control of the asthma. So should not be taken for elective surgery without optimization. Should not be taken for elective surgery without optimization, without proper optimization. So when we were discussing the various questions, the first question was a child with a recurrent wheeze in all the lung fields presenting for elective inguinal hernia surgery. So he had active symptoms which tell us about not well maintained or maybe how much or a poorly maintained asthma. So definitely that child we will let's say delay the surgery. First we'll try to go for an optimization, and once the optimization is fullest, then only we will take the decision of taking the child, right? Okay, so a lot of national and international organization has given the treatment or escalating treatment pattern for asthma. So when you send the patient to the primary caregiver, you need to have an idea that what are the medications that the patient may receive. So a lot of national and international organization has developed guidelines that suggest stepwise approach in asthma management, right? So how does the medical management of asthma start? It starts if a patient is on a short-acting beta agonist, the occasional inhaled corticosteroids are added. If required, the frequency of that is increased. So initially, if the patient is on short-acting beta agonist, the intermittent or daily inhaled steroids, inhaled glucocorticoid is added. Then if required, long-acting beta agonist is added. Then long-acting muscarinic antagonist is added. Then your anti-IgE, then anti-interleukin 5, then anti-interleukin 4R, these are the new drug. Then leukotriene receptor antagonist, then methylxanthine if required, and then ultimately oral steroid. Methylxanthine and then oral steroid if required. Now remember, wheezing is a very important known risk factor for perioperative respiratory adverse effects. So if a child has active wheeze, it is an indicator of not so well controlled asthma, and definitely the child has to be optimized according to the escalation of the medical therapy required. Now when we are doing the pre-anesthetic evaluation, when we are taking the history, we need to rule out the other risk factors for perioperative respiratory adverse effects. So there are some medical risk factors, there are some surgical risk factors, and there are some anesthesia risk factors which we have to keep in mind. So factors that has been associated with an increased risk of perioperative respiratory adverse effect in children. This is the complete list. So when we take history, whatever relevant things in this list needs to be asked, we have to take care of that. So age, younger patient has a higher risk than older patient for respiratory adverse effects. So younger the child, more better control for most of the respiratory event we have to have. Premature birth, URTI of less than 2 weeks, recurrent wheezing, current or past asthma, nocturnal dry cough, wheezing during exercise, history of hay fever or current or past history of eczema, family history of asthma, eczema or hay fever, passive or active smoker, other respiratory illness like bronchopulmonary dysplasia or cystic fibrosis, previous history of apnea, obstructive sleep apnea if the child is obese, syndrome associated with airway obstructions like if child is syndromic with Down syndrome, etc., anemia, that is hematocrit less than 30%, and unfasted patient. All these are the patient factors for increasing the risk of perioperative adverse effects. So, emergency surgery, unfasted patient, they all have a higher risk. Then factors associate the surgical factors, the shared airway procedures. If the procedure is of or tonsillectomy or let's say dental procedure, then the risk is higher. Blood secretions in the upper airway, because these are the stimuli which would cause the responsiveness of the bronchus, and these